to my YouTube channel, Wellness and Motherhood, where we talk about all things relating to wellness and being a mom. I am sharing my experiences about how I prioritize my health and my wellness in the midst of taking care of two little ones. In my last video, I was 39 weeks pregnant, but now I am almost 2 weeks postpartum. But today I want to share my PCOS journey with you guys. I know a lot of women struggle with PCOS, and it can also cause an issue with fertility. So I just wanted to share my story and encourage you guys who may be struggling with symptoms of PCOS to not give up and to have faith in your body, have faith in wellness, have faith in the food that you eat, and just give you guys a background on my history with PCOS. So I started my menstrual cycle when I was about 12 or 13 years old, and it was always irregular. I thought it was just normal, my body trying to get used to, having regular periods. But when I was 16, I voiced those concerns to my gynecologist, and he basically said that he thought I had polycystic ovarian syndrome. Did the ultrasound, I did have cyst on my ovaries. Some of the symptoms that I was having was, like I said, irregular menstrual cycles. It was heavy bleeding. I would skip months where I didn't have a period. I had acne. As I got older, I feel like I sweated more than normal. I had this really embarrassing symptoms that I'm not ashamed to share here on YouTube, but I had hair grow on my belly, which was embarrassing. But, just really awkward symptoms that no woman, I feel like, wants to experience. So anyway, so I was diagnosed, and he basically told me that I would be put on birth control pills to regulate my hormones and to regulate my menstrual cycles, and that I wanted to have kids eventually. I was 16 at this time, so I asked like, will it prevent me from having kids? And he said, most women with PCOS do have difficulty, in that when I was ready, I could attempt naturally, and if it didn't work, then I could take Clomid or something that would help me to ovulate. So I was on birth control, but that treatment plan didn't sit too well with me. So I decided to look up what could I do to help my PCOS outside of the medicine. I'm like, I don't want to take medicine for the rest of my life. So I came across different things talking about organic foods and how pesticides can interfere with your hormones, and the pesticides in produce and hormones in milk and different things. So I decided that I would eat an organic diet. So at that time, I pretty much started shopping at like a local organic market, buy most organic food, but I was not very aware of the types of foods that I should be eating. I was just eating organic food that I would shop for. But when I would go out, I would still eat fast food. I still ate McDonald's and Popeyes and everything else. That was not good for me. It was more so a lack of knowledge, and it was also a lack of discipline. I think I hear my baby, but it's quiet now. So I was doing the organic thing for a while, still taking the birth control. I was working at IHOP at the time, so I was still eating IHOP regularly. Like, I just didn't completely understand what I should be doing to help regulate my hormones. And of course, I was having periods regular, but that was because of the birth control, pretty much covering everything up. I was on the pill for maybe about 10 years or so. And then I stopped taking it. I said, okay, I am going, because I was reading different things about low progesterone can cause, PCOS, and, just reading a lot of different things, taking supplements, multivitamins, all these things. So it's like, okay, I'm going to get my body together. I'm going to stop taking the birth control, and I'm going to try my best to balance my hormones naturally. So I stopped taking the birth control, and I pretty much didn't have a period for maybe like a year or so. I was trying so many things. Again, still just lack of knowledge. I was drinking things like aloe water, which is really high in sugar, which is not really great for PCOS, something that I've learned. So let's see, I started taking progesterone cream, where I would rub it like on my abdomen or like, you know, like inside of your arms, trying to increase progesterone levels, not really know what my progesterone was. I was just trying different things just to see what helped. I was taking a multivitamin, started taking probiotics. I was just trying all these things. I'm like, nothing is working. I still have not had a period. What's going on? So I talked to somebody at work who, one of the nurses, I was a tech at the time, one of the nurses had a friend who also had PCOS. So she connected me with her, and the friend was seeing a functional medicine provider. I never heard of functional medicine, but my coworker was telling me how she had great results since she's been seeing this functional medicine provider. So I'm like, oh, I want to try it. So I found the provider, and I went, and on my initial consultation, I was telling her about my symptoms, and she told me that she felt like my progesterone, she's like, it sounds like it's elevated progesterone levels. How does she know that? I don't know, but you know, she ordered the blood work, did the blood work. My progesterone was really high. She referred me to a endocrinologist. She said she thought I had a prolactinoma, which is like a small brain tumor. Went to the endocrinologist, got an MRI, and it turns out that I did have the prolactinoma. And so I had to take, I forget the medication, what it's called, but it was supposed to shrink the tumor. And it did, it worked. I was on it for a couple months. And then I was also, once I finished that, I started doing the functional medicine protocol, which consisted of something called a LEAP diet, which is like food sensitivity testing. So she basically drew my blood, and it's a little bit complicated, but I'll try to summarize it. So draw your blood, and they basically expose it to different types of foods to see what you have a sensitivity to. So there's like your greens, your yellows, and your reds. So the green foods are not really your immune system doesn't really react to it. Yellow is like a mild reaction, and then red is like a more severe reaction. And each food has a number. Forgive me if I'm not explaining this correctly. I'm trying to remember as best I can. But basically the foods are on like a scale, like going, you know, low all the way up, like the low greens, and then get higher in the greens, and low yellows, high yellows, and then reds. And so the way the sensitivity testing worked is, after I got the results, I was on a diet plan where I could only eat my very low green foods for like the first 2 weeks or something like that. So for like the first 2 weeks, I was only eating like turkey, green beans, rice, quinoa. It was like a very limited amount of food that I could have. And then the purpose of this is to slowly reintroduce these foods to see if your body reacts to it. And so basically the way they explained it to me is a reaction could be brain fog, as she said. I was like, what the hell is brain fog? I don't know. Like, I'm not like, what does that feel like? I've never really had it before. But anyway, fatigue, brain fog, eczema, acne. There's a lot of different symptoms, but these are the ones that pretty much pertain to me. And she basically wanted me to keep track of how I felt as I reintroduced these foods, and if any of them caused me to feel weird or have any of these symptoms, then that would be a food that I should probably avoid. So I'm just going along, you know, adding the foods, and I hadn't had any reactions. My yellows were, I think, like soy, corn, dairy, gluten. Those were some of my higher inflammatory foods, and you don't introduce those higher inflammatory foods until closer to the 3-month mark. So I'm just going through eating all my greens, and I wasn't having any reactions. So I started to think, oh, this is BS. This is not working. Like, I really wanted a grilled cheese sandwich. Like, I wanted popcorn, I want all the things that, you know, I couldn't technically have until 3 months. So I was kind of annoyed by that. I'm like, I don't feel anything different as I'm reintroducing these foods. And so I guess I lost my discipline. Around the 3-month mark, where I'm supposed to be reintroducing the more severe foods, I started to kind of like slack off on the treatment plan. And so I like had like popcorn one day, and I was like, okay. And then I went on this church trip, and I had I had like Domino's pizza. And when I say I felt like I was hit by a truck the next day, it felt like I was literally hit by a truck. Like, when she said brain fog, that's exactly what I had. Like, and granted, I had dairy, gluten, soy, all in one meal. And those are all my highest inflammatory foods. So essentially, if I had done it correctly, I would have eaten one of those things at a time to see, okay, is this causing me a reaction? Is it the dairy? Is it the gluten? Is it the corn? Is it the soy? That would have been a way for me to figure it out. But I ate all of them at one time, and I felt like sugar honey iced tea. Like I had a headache, blurred vision, my head was spinning. Like I cannot make this up, like how terrible I felt when I had been eating these things my whole life. So anyway, I pretty much messed up the whole plan. It was supposed to be like a long treatment plan where I slowly introduce these foods, and then I do supplements, probiotics, and gut healing and all these things. But I felt like I messed it up that day because I'm like, okay, I've been on this for 3 months. I have no idea what caused this food reaction. So I kind of just gave up on it a little bit. I mean, I was still trying to avoid those foods, but at that point I felt like I messed up. And so I was still going to her, and she had me, you know, taking multivitamins. My vitamin D was low, so I was taking vitamin D. Let's see, and then what happened? I ended up getting pregnant. I wasn't supposed to get pregnant on this plan, so I just completely messed it up. I was supposed to get pregnant. I was eating things I wasn't supposed to. So, but thankfully, I was starting to have more regular periods after the prolactinoma and then doing the leap. I started to have more regular periods. Ended up getting pregnant with my daughter, Aubrey. So then I had to stop the plan. Basically, the way she said it to me is like when you're doing a gut healing protocol, the bad bacteria in your intestines is not like, as they die, it like releases like toxins or something like that, which isn't good for a baby if you're pregnant or nursing. So that's one of the reasons why you shouldn't get pregnant when you're doing this gut healing protocol. So we completely paused everything. And the plan was for me to resume when I finished nursing her. And I planned to nurse her for 2 years. So I was like, okay. So I had my daughter. At this point, I'm like, okay, do I eat gluten? I love gluten. I love dairy. I love bread. It's my favorite. So I'm just like, I don't know if these things are, I don't know which one is reacting to me. And if you're eating them consistently, then your body doesn't respond in the way that it did if you were to take it out. Basically, if you were to take it out, your inflammation kind of calms down a little bit. All the inflammation in your body calms down. And then if you reintroduce it, then and you get that response, you know that that was a trigger for you, compared to your body kind of getting used to the trigger, and then you just have like this low grade inflammation that manifests as fatigue, brain fog, GI issues. Some people have diarrhea, constipation. Like it's just like this low grade, like it's just kind of chilling out. And then like I said, you take it out and you add it, and it's like boom, like what's going on? Anyway, so had my daughter, nursing her. I'm still trying to avoid gluten and dairy because I know those are some of my higher inflammatory foods, but not completely leaving it out. I did around my honeymoon. I left out gluten again, and I basically had 3 food reactions. There was one on the church trip where I had this really bad, felt like I was hit by a truck, and then I stopped eating gluten again for a while. Ended up getting married, going on my honeymoon, and I had gluten on my honeymoon, and I felt crappy after that too. Had a really bad headache. And then it happened one more time. I don't remember the third time, but there was like 3 times where I had like fruit reactions. So I feel like, but it was always gluten and dairy combined. So I still didn't know which one it was that was causing the reaction. So anyway, I had my daughter, and I was nursing her. And if I were to eat dairy, I noticed that her skin started breaking out. She had like eczema. And I noticed it was worse every time I ate dairy. So just a sign that dairy probably wasn't really good for her either. So if I left out the dairy, her skin cleared up. If I accidentally ate some dairy or purposely ate some dairy, her skin broke out again. So I was like, okay, dairy is definitely an issue for her. So anyway, I was excited to restart this program because I'm like, I want to see what is causing me these issues. Like what is causing me to have still, my cycles have become more regular. Like once I got my period back after having my daughter, my periods started to become more regular than they were before, but they were still not exactly where I wanted them to be. And I still had the acne. I still had like the bloating and like in my belly. So I knew my body was still not completely happy with me. Like I was eating more vegetables, I was drinking more water, I was following, you know, a lot of the things that the functional medicine provider wanted me to do, but I wasn't doing it 100% to exactly the way she wanted me to do it. So I was like, okay, I want to do this protocol again, do it the right way, so I can see what is it, contributing to these symptoms that I'm having. So I said, okay, I'm going to wean my daughter. I was really anxious to do it. So I said, instead of nursing her through 2 years, I said, I want to wean her now at 16 months so that I could start this treatment plan again. So started weaning her off the boob, which was hard for me. Story for another day. But started weaning her off, contacted the provider, let her know I was ready to start the program again. I knew I couldn't get pregnant. We thought about having another baby, having them 2 years apart, but we said, no, we're going to wait. We want to do this protocol first. And then afterwards, then we'll talk about having a second child. So weaned her off. We were having TMI. Let's not talk about that now. But anyway, long story short, I took a pregnancy test. It was negative. I set up an appointment to go back to start the program again. Maybe like the couple days before my appointment, I started feeling really nauseous. So I'm like, what the hell is going on? Took a pregnancy test and it was positive. I paid $1,000 deposit to start this program again. And I found out I was pregnant like 2 or 3 days before my appointment. So I had to go to my appointment and tell her, like, I got pregnant again. She's like, something about this office is, I guess, good for your fertility. I'm like, I don't know, I'm pregnant again. So now we have to wait another 2 years. So here we are today, and I have a week and a half old baby boy named Aiden, who is sleeping in the other room in his bassinet. I am still not able to finish this functional medicine protocol that I would really like to get to so that I can heal my body from the inside out. There are some things that I could be doing now that I could be doing better. Things that I will discuss further on this YouTube channel. Some of the key things that she recommended, she is in the functional medicine provider, and things that I found really helpful. By helpful, when I do them more consistently, I experience less symptoms. When I kind of backslide, I experience more symptoms. My main symptoms, like I said, is the acne. I have belly. I retain fat here. I still have hair here, not as bad as it used to be, but it's still there sometimes. And I still sweat more in the summer. I feel like more than usual, more than a normal person should. So anyway, but the key things that I find helpful is staying hydrated. My skin looks so much better when I drink enough water. Number 2 is leafy green vegetables. Like when I eat a salad every day, or if I'm drinking like my green smoothies, like skin start clearing up. Exercise has been really helpful for my mood. My energy is better. But again, I haven't quite been great at doing these things because it's like I'll do it for a little bit and I'll see some improvement and then I'll backslide. So I'm working on that. I will share my improvements here on my channel. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned for future videos. Other things that I found helpful is vitamin D. She recommended me to take that. She said a lot of women, particularly Black women, have low vitamin D levels. So that's been helpful. I notice my energy is better when I'm taking my vitamin D. Probiotics, I think, are really helpful because I know she told me, I did a stool test. That was another part of the protocol where she told me what GI bacterial issues I was having in my microbiome. So probiotics have been helpful. And then one of the biggest things, which is the absolute hardest thing for me to do, is low carb. Like I said, I love bread, I love ice cream, like I love cooked sweets, like, and I eat healthy sweets. Like I use like almond flour, I do almond flour cookies. I don't eat like Hostess or Twinkies or anything like that, but sugar is still sugar. So I make like almond flour cakes, but like I said, sugar still. I love sweet potato fries. I make them from scratch, but it's still carbs. So all of those things, like when she wants me to, the functional medicine provider, eat carbs combined with a fat and a protein to help stabilize your blood sugar levels. So when I do that well, like I said, skin starts clearing up, energy is good, I'm feeling good, I'm waking up, feeling refreshed. But when I eat like rice for dinner, and then I turn around and eat like 5 chocolate chip cookies. And then if I make I love like these chocolate smoothies with like banana, cacao powder, ingredients for another day. But you know, if I eat all that, that's a lot of carbs. Like they're technically healthy carbs, but with people with PCOS, or at least some people with PCOS, like those high carbs are not the best. With high carbs in the morning, like if I eat an omelet, I want hash browns like on the side. But one of the things she recommended was to not eat carbs first thing in the morning. Something about our cortisol already being high, and then that increases your blood sugar, and then you turn around and you add more sugar on top of it. It's not really good for PCOS. So she wanted me to avoid carbs in the morning, but I'm like, I can't have an omelet without hash browns. Like, who does that? So anyway, those are all things that I'm working on. The things, when I do them consistently, I find that I have better results. But the issue is doing it consistently. So I'm working on that. I will share that journey here on YouTube in future videos. Let's see, is there anything else that I'm missing that I find helpful? Stress reduction, sleep, like those type of things she said is really important for balancing your hormones, helping your body to heal naturally from the inside out. So let's run through them again. Water, sleep and stress reduction, leafy greens, low carb, vitamin D, probiotics. The dairy and the gluten, I'm still not too sure about. Like I said, because I know it's one of those something, but I'm not exactly sure which one. I have to do the full elimination diet again, which I don't really want to do without doing it under the supervision of because I'm like, I love those things. So I'm not going to cut it out for nothing. Either I'm going to do the whole protocol, or I'm going to still dibble and dabble on those things. So I'll figure out what's going on. But anyway, so yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, please let me know. You can comment down below. Please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'm still new at this YouTube thing, so forgive me if I'm rambling a little bit, but I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Let me grab my little remote, and I am out of here.